So my number three is E.T. from 1982, directed by Steven Spielberg, obviously starring Henry Thomas, Drew Barrymore, Peter Coyote. Quick log line: a troubled child summons the courage to help a friendly alien escape from Earth and return to his home planet. So I put this on my list as kind of representation of the purest form of friendship, if you will, where and that's kind of what children bring, and maybe
Mm.
this can happen in adulthood as well. But to me, this movie is very much about when you find an instant connection with somebody who you didn't grow up with, who's not from your family. It's very unconditional, and without much being said or done, somehow this person can see you better than anybody else that you've known for a long period of your life, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to support them, help them. It's sort of this instant bond, like I said. And I think this movie does such a great job of representing that. I have a childhood memory of watching this movie and just bawling. And I watched it again after a few years in preparation for this movie, and I bawled
Mm-hmm.
once again.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing has changed really in terms of how this movie portrays friendship between Et and Elliot. So yeah, that's why this movie is on my list. I think in many ways this movie has become like a model of friendship for me, especially from the eyes of a younger person.
Mm.
I don't think I had ET obviously in my life, but I didn't have that kind of friendship in my life. Like I said, I wasn't open to it. I was
Mm-hmm.
always so jealous of kids who had friends that they would wanted to spend hours and hours in their life with, and letters are being written even if
Yeah.
they're not in the same city, and hours and hours on phone calls. It was almost like they wanted to be with them as opposed to their families. And in a way I was always jealous of that, but I also felt lucky because I had that in my own house in
Mm-hmm.
a way. So it's kind of a complicated sort of sentiment that comes with it, because I didn't have this. But I think I vicariously lived through Elliot in watching this movie as a kid and seeing, oh, it can be this way, and how cool would that be.
Mm.
But as a movie, I mean, what can I say about ET that hasn't been said? Like in our last episode, you talked about Jaws being sort of your best of the best when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to Spielberg. I think E.T. might be for me. And a
Mm.
lot of it has to do with when I watched it, in my life, and how it's stayed with me. And watching it again this time, I was so blown away by, maybe I talk about this way too much on this podcast, which is how quiet this movie is and how much that
Mm.
appeals to me. And I think it's important because you're really put in the place of this suburban area where these people are living at. You're
Mm-hmm.
put in the space of the loneliness of this family, because the father figure, the husband has just moved out.
Yep.
People are figuring out life, and it's quiet, it's kind of dark, and also it's eerie. Aliens have walked into your space
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
And that, as wondrous and awesome and amazing that can be, it's also kind of creepy and eerie. So I think the movie does such a great job of layering all these textures of loneliness and eeriness, and then sprinkling joy and wonderment and people coming together, figuring each other out. And that's why this movie has that power. In anybody else's hand, this movie would be a fun ride, which it is, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why kids connect to it too. But there's something so deep and melancholic about this movie, which is why it has that staying power. And the reason why it's my best of his is because I think this is one of the few movies where character, story, effects all come together. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't often happen. It's a very hard thing to do. Um, I think this time around, I was also really struck by the mom character. Not that I hadn't paid attention to her previously, but I really saw like how all over the place she is. She's sort of this representation of anxiety and helplessness, but you see glimmers of love and anger because the husband has left, but
Mm-hmm.
also curiosity. But she's also sort of so blind to the fact that there's an ET walking around. It's so amazing. And I think
Yeah.
that's so important because it really grounds the movie. Her and sort of her being, because if you removed her from the picture, I don't think Elliot's relationship with ET would be believable.
Mm.
You wouldn't quite buy why this child is going the extra mile, because the child is detached in this moment in time because of what's happened in this
Oh yeah.
household. The
Mm-hmm.
kids are on their own in a way,
Right.
and they're seeking, there's love, but there's confusion in the household. And in a way, ET comes in and sort of becomes this glue that binds the household back together. So again, just so many layers, great score once again.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great effects. The ET animatronic thing just holds up even till this date. And then last thing I would say is like, all these little details of engagement between the kids and ET, whether it's the plant or dressing up ET in, Drew's clothes, or the phone, or all of it, they're all fun moments, but they chronicle their relationship. And then very soon they become symbolic plot points, because the moment you see the dying plant, you know what that means. And now these things have become memes. So again, so brilliant to use these little moments to add just so much more detail to this friendship that's building as the movie goes on. So yeah, I love E.T. It's probably a corny, obvious thing to say, but I love it. And Elliot is the actor who plays Elliot is just incredible. What a great child performance by really everybody, but especially him.
Yeah, Spielberg definitely knows how to cast children well, I feel.
And get the best out of them.
Exactly. Pick the right child actors that don't seem inauthentic at all. So, yeah, I think this is a great movie to start off with around friendship. I feel that definitely the magic of E.T. in this film and the powers that he has definitely do represent a lot of like the importance of friends and what they can do. E.T. can heal you. And a lot of times when you're hurt, not necessarily physically, but emotionally, you might be in a hurt state, then okay, your friends can be there to heal you. The whole theme around communication as well. And E.T. phoning home and trying to have that connection there too. And two, like that Elliot and E.T., they have that sort of shared feelings where, when E.T. is at home and he starts drinking beer and gets drunk, Elliot feels it too. And it's sort of they have this connection where they have total empathy for one another. Like anything that E.T. feels, Elliot feels. Anything that Elliot feels, E.T. feels. And as, great friends, like that is what, you have complete empathy for this person. You care about them. You care about where their feelings. When they're upset, you're upset because they're upset. When they're happy, you're happy because they're happy. And I think that is what, E.T.'s magic, I think, is definitely representative of that. And you're right. Elliot is totally alone. Like his brother has a bunch of friends. They're hanging out. He has a younger sister, but that's a sister is a different thing. Like he doesn't have any friends. There's no sense in this film that he has anyone other than himself. And yeah, you're right, his dad just left, so E.T. really is there then to come in and be like, I am your friend now. I am able to give you the friendship love that you're not getting from anyone else. And maybe even too, like that family love too. Your dad's gone. Your brother's kind of always fighting with him a little bit. Your mom's kind of struggling to keep everything together. So I think everything you said about how he represents that love. And it's the scene at the end when E.T.'s almost dead and Elliot basically, it's like a Sleeping Beauty or something. He's like, I love you, E.T. And then that's what brings him back to life. So the power of Elliot's love, as and friendship for E.T. actually brings him back. So I do think there's a lot of great parallels there. As a film, it's interesting because like this movie was huge in the 80s. So it was definitely like amongst my friends, a movie that was very popular. I just never really took to it, honestly. Like, I don't know. It was never a movie I liked. I always thought it was kind of boring when I was little. So I didn't watch it very often. It was when I took a Spielberg class in college, actually, that I learned to more like appreciate the movie than love it. And it's interesting too. Like every time I see it, I kind of like it less, oddly. I don't know what that is. It's just that this movie, for some reason, never really landed in the same way that I guess it did for the rest of, my generation and society, because the movie is a huge hit. I will say, though, the third act, like when the kids, they rescue E.T. and they have that whole bike chase thing, is just a phenomenal sequence. The music, the action, like that part is like, every time I almost like get more and more invested in what's going on. I'm like, oh my God, they're, trying to get away from the police and the NASA guys and the federal agents. And that part still really does it to me. And the score is just unbelievable. But yeah, like, I don't know. I can't really explain why this movie has never really like resonated with me ever since I was.
Because you're weird. You don't like E.T. What can I say?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's totally, it totally, definitely could be that. It's not like I hated it. It's just like, yeah, E.T. is E.T. Like I would have rather watched some other films growing up, but it was fun definitely to come back to it and view it in this lens of friendship, which I think is the main theme of the entire film, and a beautiful encapsulation of the love between friends, even though one is a human and the other one is an ET. Like, it doesn't matter where you came from, what your background is, even if they don't speak the same language really throughout most of the film, but they speak the language of friendship. Not to be too cheesy, but that's what that language is. It's an intergalactic language of friendship and love. So yeah, E.T.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.